What is up, folks? Welcome to Love for Guns, Tactics, and Shooting. Right off the bat, I want to say I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. And today, we're going to be spending some time with the CZ P-10C Ported, which is going to be this beauty right here. Now, today it is sporting the Cyelee Ghost HDG, which we'll talk about more later. Basically, what we're going to do today is spend some time on the range with the gun. Then we'll get back to the lab, do a little bit of tabletop, talk about the specs of the gun, the optic, and give you my thoughts. It's going to be a little bit of a review, a little bit of my experience with the gun, and then we'll kind of, see if it's something that maybe you should add to your collection or your arsenal or whatever you want to call it. Been to the channel before, you know what I say. Practice makes you suck less. If you're on training, you're slacking. And if this is a tool that you're using for EDC or for some self-defense, or even if you're just going to the range and plinking, man, you need to get familiar with the tools that you use. All right. Oh, like, subscribe, and let's get into it. All right, so for today's flavor, we're going to be shooting these Herders 9mm 115 grains. So I'll get the mags loaded up, and then we'll get to shooting, and we'll start off about 7 yards, and then we'll move back to 10 or 15 after that. Now, some guns, the magazines are hard to load. On these, I don't find it difficult to load these. So even if you don't have like strong hands or grip, I think loading these magazines to capacity is not a huge deal. All right, so I'm using the factory 15 rounder, and we'll load this 15th round, easy peasy. Yeah, so the dot is a little bit off. We'll adjust that, then we'll shoot some more. So I had the dot zeroed for the last pistol I had it on. It was on my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, and then I moved it over to this gun. So I have to adjust that dot just a little bit. All right, so now we're going to go out to about 10 yards. To the left, so I'm pretty sure that's me. So we'll go back out to 10. We'll shoot at the bottom target, and I'll try to get this sight dialed in. Now that we got the dot adjusted, this is what we're looking like. That is much better. Still got some adjustments to do. Some of it is probably me, but as you can see, the gun is accurate. And we'll take a look at the video, see what the recoil looks like, see how my overall control was. First, I'm going to give some thoughts. Fresh off the range, shooting the the CZ P-10C Ported. This thing felt great, easily controlled. Recoil was manageable. The overall experience was nice. The grip is pretty good. I do wish it came all the way up, which we'll talk about later. But overall, for what it is, gun stayed planted, and I don't really have any complaints. Of course, the trigger felt really good, and you can see that trigger. I think it's great, man. Yeah, the trigger is definitely on par with your Canics and your Walther PDPs. I think feels real good. So we'll dig more into it on the tabletop and talk more about the gun. Even at a faster pace with those reloads, still managed to stay on target. So I am definitely feeling that. All right, so we are back at the tabletop. We're going to be going over the CZ P-10C Ported that you see here. It's sporting the Cyelee Ghost HDG. The HDG stands for heavy duty grade, and I will say that this optic is heavy duty, and I mean it's solid. The red dot is crisp, and I have never had an issue with the red dot failing or not showing up. The controls on here are phenomenal, so no issue with that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the Cyelee Ghost. I did do a video or two on it a while back. Cyelee did send me this optic a while back, and I did a couple of videos on it. I'm not sure if I ever did a full in-depth, but I will say that this is a red dot that I recommend. This thing is solid built. It is literally like a tank. I've done some torture testing on it, put it through its paces, and this thing has never failed and always holds zero. So I will do a dedicated video on that. But yeah, if you're looking for a good optic on a full-size pistol, because this particular dot, now Cyelee makes a plethora of really good dots that are very solid. But if you're looking for a full-size gun, I would definitely recommend this one. Like I said, this thing is like a tank, and it will never fail you. Now, real quick before we get into the CZ P-10, the reason why this gun is on the table and it is clear, it's because this is recently acquired, and we're going to be doing a video on this kind of first look, and then we'll get in depth and do some shooting, but that'll be later. So stay tuned to the channel, like, share, subscribe, and look out for that one. But today we are talking about the CZ P-10 C ported, all right? And basically, you guys pretty much know what that means. Ported has a port in the slide and in the barrel, and those two things combined with the rifling being removed all the way before the port creates a compensator. So it's kind of what the market is doing right now. And this particular one is a very big chunk port, bigger than a lot of the competitors. And I will say that it does reduce recoil or muzzle flip. I think those two get interchanged a lot. And there's a little bit of difference between recoil and muzzle flip, even though they do kind of work hand in hand. But muzzle flip is definitely reduced with this compensator port. So I would definitely say if you're in the market for a CZ P-10, you've been looking at them, thinking about getting one, definitely get the ported, unless you don't want the compensator for other reasons. Now, first and foremost, we all know a trigger can make or break a shooting experience. And I will say right off the bat that the trigger on this gun is really nice. It has a little bit of take up, a really solid break that the CZ P-10 is known for. Reset is really short. So that is definitely one of the pros to this particular model. Now, there are some cons, and we'll get into those later, but really good trigger. One of the best on the market, I will say. Now, just going over the rest of the gun, we'll start from the top. These sights are really nice. They do co-witness, like I said, with the optic. And they are, I wouldn't say suppressor height, but they are optic height, and they do a good job. So very solid sights, not plastic like some manufacturers. Not the greatest fan of the 3-dot system, but it does work, and they do show up at night light really well as well. So really good sighting system and setup there. Now, you do have to use a plate with this system. It cannot mount a plate directly to the slide itself. You do need a plate. Now, you can get a plate from CZ. I ended up not getting one from them. I ended up getting this plate from Night Fusion. Again, they're not a sponsor of the channel or anything. I was looking for a good plate, and I wanted a metal one, so they made a pretty good solid plate. I probably put about 500 rounds through the gun since I put this plate or an optic on there, and I haven't had any issues. Hasn't missed a beat, hasn't come loose or walked out or anything like that. So yeah, it's a plate that I would recommend if you're looking for a good plate. What else? This is a RMR footprint on here. You can get the plates in different footprints if you're looking for something different. RMR is the most common one, so I went ahead and went with that. Plus, I had this optic that I wanted to use anyway, so it just worked out that way. One other thing to note is I like how far the ejection port is up on this slide. It's a good distance away from where the optic placement is, which allows you to mount different optics without worrying about ejection issues. This optic is similar to an SRO, and if you notice, even though it sits a little forward, it's still not affecting the ejection port. Now, since we're up at the top, we'll go ahead and look at the serrations. These serrations are really deep. So on the ported version, they did make the serrations a lot deeper than the ones on the previous P-10 models. And they took the serrations across the top, which is a nice look, especially if you're a press checker like I am. So I appreciate all the different serrations everywhere I can. The ones on the back also nice and girthy, so you can grip the gun. or grip the slide and pull back with no issues. Makes manipulating this gun really easy. All right, moving down from the slide, I will say that the nitrite coating on this slide is really nice as well. So I've dropped and thrown this gun around a little bit, shot probably over 1,000 rounds with it, and there is not a hiccup, a scratch, or anything on this slide anywhere. I've tried marring it a little bit, and this finish just holds up really well. So this is probably one of the best coatings I've found on any of the slides. So moving down from the slide, we'll get into the frame. It's your standard polymer frame. Nothing special, nothing to write home about. Does have a rail system here. I had a TLR7 on here that worked pretty good. Didn't shift or move or anything. It does have one Picatinny slot there if you want to use that. Otherwise, you can use the rail here to mount whatever light you want. It does have a memory pad here on both sides. So as you're holding the gun, has a kind of point of reference there for you to put your index finger and your supporting hand, thumb, which is cool. I do wish there was a slight shelf there as opposed to just this little texturing, but you know, it works out pretty good. Moving on to the slide catch. Now, this slide catch, I am not the hugest fan of. I mean, it gets the job done, but I do wish it protruded just a little bit or had some kind of like little shelf there to make it easier to actuate and to take down. Now, this one does extend out a little bit more than the one that was on the original P-10 because that one was like flush up against there and it was hell to use. Now, they do make a extended version of the slide stop. I believe you can get it on the CZ website. They may sell it some other aftermarket, but I know they're out there. So if that's something you're looking for, the takedown on here, which I won't do, you know, on here, YouTube and all that. Plus, you know, if you're taking down a gun, you're taking down plenty. Especially this one is kind of the Glock style, so it has the two knobs here. You pull back. I think you have to pull the trigger first, and pull back, boom, pull these slides down, take it off or whatever. You can do a simple field strip of the gun. Before I move down too far, let me go back to the top here of the barrel. We were talking about this barrel and talking about the porting, but I missed the actual barrel itself. Now this barrel is thicker than the original barrel on the first CZ P-10. I think they said it's like 10% thicker or whatever, so it's closer to like a bull barrel type. And I will say that this barrel is super accurate, and you know, no issues there. Now I don't have the first iteration of the CZ P-10 to show you the first barrel. But this thing is definitely thicker. I compared it to one of them at the range, and it is considerably thicker. And it does also have a crowning on here. So it's kind of crowned and ramped, which is really nice, which aids with accuracy as well. So it's definitely the type of stuff you want to look for. So we appreciate those upgrades from CZ. The rest of the frame pretty much is standard with the previous CZ P-10. They didn't really change anything with the rest of the frame, honestly. It does have several back straps that you can use to change the size. I believe I have the medium on there. Yeah. I think it comes, if I'm not mistaken, I think it comes with a small one. I put the medium one there. Medium is perfect for my hand size. I don't have big hands, but I don't have small hands. But the medium fits perfect and, you know, gives you a great grip on the gun. Talking about grip, we'll move down to the texturing and we're almost done. The texturing is really nice. I do like these dots that they use. I forgot what they call this system, something that they say with NASA or whatever. You know how the marketing talk where they talk about all this different stuff that they did to come up with this stuff or whatever. But these dots are actually really nice. Now they do actually go into your hand and allow you to get a really great grip. The one thing that I would say, moving into cons, also before I move down, the funnel on here, or magwell, is actually nice. Could it be a little bit wider or flared? Yes, but I mean, it gets the job done. They do offer a lot of magwell options for this particular model. Like I said, this platform has been around for a while. They just kind of upgraded it a little bit, but the magwell is not bad. So if you are into magwells, definitely look out for some on the market. Grab you one and, you know, do your thing. Before I leave, I always like to do at least one mag reload. This mag release is actually really cool. It bumps out a little bit and it is easy to press and get to. And as you can see, the mags come out of there really nicely. So no issues with that either. All right, so let's move into cons and then wrap this up. The cons are basically the texture. Now, I said this texture is really nice. I do like these little dots that they use, but I do wish that it came further up. And I think I may have mentioned this in my initial thoughts video. But as you're holding the gun, I mean, you do wish you had a little bit more texturing up here for your primary hand and then your support hand. Also, as you're coming to rest here, it would be nice to have that extra texturing here so your hands not sliding, especially when you're sweaty or it's wet conditions or something like that, especially since this gun is marketed towards duty purposes, which I do think this makes a great duty setup. This is kind of your Glock 10, Glock 19 size, but they do make a bigger one, a full size model that is closer to like the Glock 17, Glock 47 or whatever. And this is a great alternative. This is actually way better than any Glock. The ergos, the shooting experience, and everything else, the trigger especially, is way better. Now, caveats to the trigger. Now, when you first get the trigger, it's advertised, I think, at 5.5 pounds. So it does feel that way. When you first get it, it's really stiff, and man, it is, a little bit hard to press. But once you get it pressed down, it breaks crisp and clean. Now, after a couple hundred rounds, the trigger did break in. It feels closer to, I would say, 4.5 now. It's really smooth, still crisp, and the reset has only gotten better. So definitely love this trigger. But that is the one con on that. So cons are just the, which if it's one for you, cons are just the takedown that could be extended. These memory points could create more of a shelf. The texturing could come further up, and the trigger shoe is the only thing. The trigger itself is nice. The trigger shoe could be better. Now, they could use some kind of aluminum or just a different style of shoe on there, and that would make the trigger experience even better. So outside of that, this gun is really great. It's a great option. So I've really had fun shooting it. Like I said, I put probably over 1,000 rounds in the gun at this point, and I don't have any complaints. I haven't had any failures, no failure to feeds. The extractions are really nice. And I probably have some video up there of that, but the extractions are nice. It does have an external extractor, which most of the striker fires do anyway. But no extraction issues, no stovepipes or any other failure to feeds or anything like that. I've run everything from 147s to 124s, 115s, ball ammo, hollow points from different brands, from your Monarchs, your Winchester, white boxes. I can't remember the hollow points that I put through it, but there have been a few other herders I think I put it through here, and some other one-off ball ammo as well. So overall, great gun. If you're in the market for a nice striker-fired weapon that can be used to carry EDC or for duty purposes, this gun can flex into all those spaces. So definitely one to pick up. And this Cyelee Ghost, Cyelee in general, their optics are great. So if you're in the market for a nice optic, get a Cyelee Ghost. They're not paying me to say any of this stuff. Like I said, they did originally send this optic to me over a year ago. I did do a bunch of testing on it and using it. It's been great. So I definitely recommend their optics. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Appreciate you guys coming to check us out. Like, share, subscribe, drop comments down there. Let's talk about this stuff. So peace out. So whenever I'm at the range before I leave, I always put a few down range and whatever EDC I'm carrying that day, make sure it's actually still doing what it's supposed to do. So we're going to put a mag through the P365 XL and just make sure it's running. Make sure the sight's still on, which it should be, but test it out. All right, nothing crazy. We'll go out to about 7 or 8 yards. I always feel like I shoot the worst when the camera's rolling. So that was a 12 round mag. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. Looks like it's accurate enough. I think we can roll with that. All right, we finished with the CZ P-10C and we put some rounds down through the EDC. So now we'll head back to the house. We'll get to the tabletop and we'll wrap this up.